I'm going to give you a breakdown of the Week 11 NFL matchup between the Houston Texans and the Baltimore Ravens, and we're starting right now. What is going on? My name is Alpha Omega. Welcome to another video. Before I get into the betting guide for the Week 11 matchup between the Texans and the Ravens, make sure and head over to my website and sign up for a sports pick package. The past week in Week 10 of the NFL, I had my biggest day of the year with an unbelievable 219 units in profit. I went 4-0 on my max unit plays, what I call my wise guy plays, and I also went 3-1 on my standard unit plays. If you purchased my daily wise guy package, a $100 better would have made $20,000. My goal in telling you this isn't to brag about it, but when you sign up with an actual professional bettor that makes his living from sports wagers, days like this do happen and you can make life-changing money. This week, I will again have at least 2 wise guy plays in action on NFL Sunday, so if you're a sports bettor and you want to get my plays for Week 11 and start winning money betting on sports, all you need to do is head over to my website and sign up for a wise guy play package. This is also the busiest time of year for professional sports bettors like myself, as the NFL, college football, the NBA, and college basketball are all in action at the same time, which means a lot of opportunity to make money. And I'm going to do my best to get more videos out to you in the coming months. If you've been coming around to the channel for a while, you also know that this channel is closing in on 100 subscribers. And I'm going to make sure and do something special for everyone who is already subscribed and everyone who does subscribe. So you got to make sure, click the links in the description and either DM me on social media, Twitter or Instagram, or send me an email with a screenshot showing that you subscribed. Also, if this is your first time here and you want to learn how to bet on sports like a pro and gain an edge over the sportsbooks, start now by subscribing to my YouTube channel and make sure to click the bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. After the amazingly entertaining and profitable Week 10, there aren't as many interesting matchups heading into Week 11. But I can't talk about Week 11 without mentioning the best game of the year so far with the overtime thriller between the Seahawks and the 49ers. A game that I covered in a video, which I'll put a link to at the top of the screen because there is plenty of useful info I covered and how closely the game matched up with my betting guide video. The game of the week in Week 11, without question, matches up the Houston Texans traveling to Baltimore to take on the AFC North leading Baltimore Ravens. As I will discuss shortly, Lamar Jackson is playing MVP caliber football, with Jackson's unparalleled athletic abilities creating a difficult matchup for any team in football. One of the key factors that makes this matchup so interesting is that the Texans also possess a mobile and dynamic quarterback in Deshaun Watson, which provides the Texans defense the opportunity to prepare defensively for a mobile quarterback in ways that other teams can't. As I'll go over in the video, this may provide opportunity to make money betting on this game. The Alpha Omega Vegas consensus line has the Ravens favored by 4.5 points, with the total being bet up from the opening number of 49 to the current number of 49.5. Implied odds mean based on the current moneyline odds, what is the projected implied probability of victory? Basically, it's the chances of victory expressed as a percentage. In this case, Vegas is saying the Ravens have a 69% probability of winning the game outright, with the Texans having a 35% chance of pulling off the upset. Using my base power rankings, I have the Ravens favored by 2.5 points with a total of 52. But remember, my base power rankings are only a starting point for your handicap and are not the final numbers I use to make my bets. The Baltimore Ravens offense has not only surpassed mainstream sports media's off-season projections, but has also become the most difficult offense to prepare for in the NFL. Of course, this is a direct result of quarterback Lamar Jackson. In Week 10 against the Bengals, Jackson not only posted a perfect passer rating, but also posted the highest QBR of any quarterback so far this season. Jackson also rushed for 65 yards, including the most single exciting play so far this season. The Ravens and Jackson are changing the way we think about a lot of core concepts in the NFL, and as long as Jackson stays healthy, the Ravens will be a tough matchup for any NFL team. Another important factor to consider when evaluating the Ravens offense is the difference that wide receiver Marquise Brown makes to the offense. Lamar Jackson's lowest passing totals of the year are connected to the games Marquise Brown missed due to injury. Brown has the ability to take the top off the defense, which opens up the field for tight ends Mark Andrews, Nick Boyle, and Hayden Hurst. While the majority of this conversation has been about the Ravens passing attack, the reason for the success of the Ravens offense has been and will continue to be based upon the Ravens running game, which ranks number 1 in all the NFL, averaging a ridiculous 197.2 yards per game. Ravens running backs Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards are both equally dangerous, and when you factor in Lamar Jackson's ability to run the football, the Ravens are simply a tough team to defend. As we will discuss shortly, the Texans defense ranks 3rd in their ability to defend against the run, so this will be a tough test for a team that relies so heavily on their ability to run the football. The keys for the Ravens offense will be Lamar Jackson continuing to play like the NFL MVP, Marquise Brown beating the Texans secondary deep, which in turn opens up the Ravens top-ranked tight ends, and the Ravens offensive line opening up holes for the Ravens to score on the ground. If the Ravens accomplish their team goals, Baltimore will cover the spread and win the game. The Texans defense is one of the most inconsistent units in the NFL, and the loss of J.J. Watt to a torn pectoral did nothing to help. The Texans' ability to pressure the quarterback ranks towards the bottom of the league, which is the biggest cause for concern against the Ravens. In order for the Texans' defense to have a chance against Baltimore, Houston will have to find a way to get pressure on Lamar Jackson, which will force Jackson into making low percentage throws, and coupled with Jackson's unorthodox throwing motion, which increases the possibility of inaccurate throws, will give the Texans secondary an opportunity to create turnovers. The Texans secondary will be getting a boost as starting free safety Tashawn Gibson is slated to return against the Ravens, and the play of recent acquisition Garyon Conley from the Raiders, who has played at a higher level since joining the Texans, also provides hope for the Texans defense against the Ravens. As I mentioned earlier, the real strength of the Texans defense is Houston's ability to defend against the run. Houston ranks 3rd in terms of rushing yards allowed per game, and as I already discussed, the Ravens offense flows through Baltimore's ability to run the football. A better measure of the Texans' run defense is the allowed yards per carry, a statistic in which Houston ranks closer to the middle of the league than the top. Having said that, the Ravens' offense has only faced one team this year that allows fewer yards per rushing attempt, so the Texans' defense may be able to defend the run-heavy Ravens' offense more effectively than anticipated. Another important factor for the Texans' defense is that Houston faces Deshaun Watson every day in practice. Deshaun Watson is the closest thing to Lamar Jackson in the NFL, and considering the Texans had a bye in Week 10, which gives Houston 2 weeks to practice against a quarterback who can copy Jackson's playing style, gives the Texans an advantage no other team has. The keys for the Texans defense will be getting pressure on Jackson and forcing Lamar into inaccurate throws, the Texans secondary taking advantage of the inaccurate throws and converting mistakes into turnovers, and finding a way to slow down the Ravens' running game. If the Texans accomplish their team goals, Houston will cover the spread and win the game. Before I continue with the betting guide, if you are enjoying the video and if you feel like you're getting good information that can help you gain an edge over the sportsbooks and make smarter sports wagers, make sure and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can stay updated with the latest sports betting content from me, professional sports handicapper Alpha Omega. Also, make sure and click the link in the description of the video, check out my website, and sign up for a sports betting package. I literally break down sports information and make my living based on that information every day. I take all of the sports data I can find, I factor all of that data into mathematical betting models to make my picks, and I send you the same picks that I bet on myself. I have packages for every level of sports bettor, from a beginner who is just coming into the sports betting world to the expert bettor who just needs that extra edge to take them to the next level. Make the smart decision and sign up with a professional today. The Ravens defense has gotten healthy in the last month, and that health has shown up on the stat sheet with convincing wins over the defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots, as well as the winless Bengals. The return of cornerback Jimmy Smith and the acquisition of Marcus Peters has provided the Ravens defense with the spark in the secondary that the Ravens lacked early in the season. Earl Thomas has also been vital to the Ravens secondary, and look for Thomas to potentially have a big game against the Texans. Where the Ravens have struggled so far this season is putting consistent pressure on the quarterback, ranking toward the bottom of the league in quarterback hurries, which by the way is a more accurate determination of quarterback pressure than sacks. While some will point to the Ravens' success in pressuring Russell Wilson and Tom Brady, the Seahawks and the Patriots are both playing with injured offensive lines. As well, the Ravens defense currently ranks 18th in rushing yards per attempt, and the success of Texans running backs Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson is a factor that the Ravens defense will have to contain if Baltimore wants to cover the spread. As we will discuss momentarily, the Texans offensive line has stepped up in recent weeks, and the Ravens defensive line will face a tough matchup against the Texans. To further complicate matters for the Ravens defensive line, defensive tackle Michael Pierce is currently day-to-day and is also questionable to suit up against the Texans. Pierce is an important part of the Ravens defensive line who lack depth up front, and that lack of depth may play a factor as the Ravens gear up for a playoff run. The keys for the Ravens defense will be putting pressure on Deshaun Watson, stopping the Texans wide receivers from beating the Ravens secondary on deep passes, and preventing the Texans from establishing the run. If the Ravens accomplish their team goals, Baltimore will cover the spread and win the game. Deshaun Watson is often overshadowed in the media by other quarterbacks making outstanding plays, but Watson is also a potential MVP candidate who is a player who always gives his team a chance to win the game. Watson has been the engine that makes the Texans offense go, and as long as the Texans have Deshaun Watson at quarterback, the Texans can beat any team in football on any given Sunday. Where Watson does sometimes struggle is when opponents are able to consistently put pressure on him. Thankfully for the Texans, Houston's offensive line has finally found continuity as a unit, with the addition of Laramie Tunsil being an important factor in the recent success of the Texans' offensive line. Tunsil was unable to play against the Jaguars, but with the extra week to heal, Tunsil is expected to play against the Ravens. While the Texans have also dealt with injuries throughout the season at the wide receiver position, Houston's wide receiving core has found a way to get open for Deshaun Watson. Wide receiver Will Fuller has been out since week 7, dealing with a nagging hamstring issue since early in the season. While not yet cleared to play, Fuller's status will be important to monitor closer to game day, as Will Fuller has proven to be a favorite target of Watson. The Texans running backs have also been a pleasant surprise, as Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson combined have rushed for nearly 1,300 yards, which ranks 5th in the NFL. The Texans rushing attack may be the difference for the Texans in this game, considering the inability of the Ravens defense to stop the run. The keys for the Texans offense will be the Texans offensive line protecting Deshaun Watson, the Texans wide receivers continuing to find ways to get open, particularly on deep passes, and the Texans running game continuing to run the football at an elite level. If the Texans accomplish their team goals, Houston will cover the spread and win the game. The margin of victory in this game will be determined by the Ravens offense finding new ways to confuse opponents and taking advantage of Lamar Jackson's strengths, the Texans defense forcing Jackson into inaccurate throws, the Ravens defense preventing big plays through the air, and the Texans offense protecting Deshaun Watson. Whichever team accomplishes their team goals will cover the spread and win the game. Okay guys, that's the video. Let me know what you think. If you feel like you're gaining information that will help you in your sports betting, or if you have questions, let me know in the comments. And remember, this channel is closing in on 100 subscribers, and everyone who is already subscribed and everyone who does subscribe, make sure and click the links in the description and either DM me on Twitter or Instagram, or send me an email with a screenshot showing that you've subscribed. And when the channel hits 100 subscribers, I'm gonna make sure and do something special for you. Also, in week 10, I had my biggest day of the year, including going 4-0 on max unit plays, wise guy plays, and in week 11, I will again be sending out multiple wise guy plays to clients. So if you want to find out what picks I'm betting on and what my wise guy plays are for week 11, make sure to head over to my website and sign up for one of my sports packages. And remember, I have sports packages for every type of sports bettor. Whether you're an everyday bettor who wants that extra edge to help you cash more winners, or you're just getting into sports betting and you want to find out how to make money betting on sports, make sure to click the link in the description of the video, head over to my website, and sign up for a package now. And if you want to stay updated with all the latest sports betting guides across all major sports, start now by hitting the round subscribe icon so you don't miss anything. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.